see this?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yep.
Thank you so much. Okay, so my name is Eileen Wisnewski. I am the Executive Director in the Chirico Career Center. I am here with Kara and Ryan, two of my favorite people on the planet. Before I get to them and their PC experience, I would like to just walk you through. So if you've ever been to the PC campus and been on a tour, you've probably gone by Slavin 108, and this is our motto. We hear the tour guides talking about it all the time. Our motto is "Don't wait, Slavin 108." And that is why we are actually here in front of you today. And I do applaud all of you for attending, because you're not waiting, the fact that you're already here. So that is phenomenal. We don't want students to wait, and you should be thinking about going into your career center, regardless of where you go, within the first month, just to start to get your foundation built. And we'll talk about that in a moment. So I've been asked to have this conversation for prospective or incoming students for many, many years. And for a long time, I used to get very stressed out because I felt like the weight of the world was on my shoulders, because we often talk about this as the return on investment. And then one day I had the epiphany and I realized it's not my job. I'm not carrying the weight of the world. You students are carrying the weight of the world. So depending on how you tackle the return of investment, regardless of where you go to school, it does start with you. And I'm really excited because Kara and Ryan are both current students that have not waited, and they really have done a ton. I also don't want you to get overwhelmed by how much they've actually done, because they really are very accomplished. For the families in the audience, you often will want this, and you can always let admissions know. This is what we call our snapshot. So it gives you a quick insight into what we have for resources, and also kind of what of our stats. So just really quickly, if you look over on the left side, the data for the class of 2024, 97% of the students reported that they were either employed, attending school, or doing both. The reason why some students do both is because they might be an accounting major and they need extra credits in order to sit for the CPA. So they actually have a job offer and they're getting their MBA at the same time. Other stats that I do want to point out are, if you look over to the right a little bit, 92% of those students who said that they were working are saying that they're working where they wanted to be and not just holding down a part-time or a full-time job. And I think that stat is really important. And finally, 94% of them said that they had a career-appropriate experience or internship. We use the word career appropriate because oftentimes, if I'll use the example of an education major, if we said, do you have an internship? They would say, no, I am part of student teaching or doing practicum. So we want to make sure that all students are understanding how everything is built. It could be research, it could be an internship. It all builds up to help you get to where you want. On the second sheet, you can see that there are some of our resources here that are virtual. We can get into that in a few moments. And then also, if you're interested in any of our career partners, that's on the bottom of the first sheet there. This here is my amazing team, and I will tell you that this is the most amazing group of people I've ever had the pleasure of working with. We have different areas within the department. So we have a handful of people that are our coaches. That is Liz, Tess, Sean, Meg, and Susan. They meet with all of the students on campus. We have Dariana and Sarah Sol. They work with our professional skills. So Dariana really takes the lead. If you are a prospective student that is interested in the business school, Ryan will talk about this in a little bit, but you do have to get Microsoft Excel certified over the summer. And that is Dariana's task, is to make sure that all the students are trained and then they sit for the exam. Stacy and Grace help with all of our operations and communication. And then Victoria and Rebecca help us with all of our alumni and employer engagement, making sure that we can build connections. And then Laura actually is for the experiential learning, and she supervises Tess, Sean, Meg, and Susan, but this is an amazing group of people. So you are here, so I don't have to say that some of you might be wondering why the career lady is here, because you actually came to see us. But the reason why we are doing this webinar is because we feel very strongly about students not waiting. When we look at this 4-step here, this is our office's new approach to providing career development. We don't have a 4-year plan because we know, and Kara can probably go, yes, I agree, that there are some seniors that actually have not come into our office, and they certainly did wait. What we want to do is make sure that for all incoming students and or transfer students, that you're building your foundation, and that foundation starts with your major. And that's some of the things that we'll be talking about today. So now I'm going to escape from here and stop sharing so we can get to the good parts. And that is Kara and Ryan. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. For students that are very active on campus, these are very busy weeks. And so we do appreciate you stepping aside from everything that's going on campus to be here for these incoming students. What I would love to do is, all my questions will be for both of you, so I'll give you moments to answer both of them. What I would love to do is start with you, Kara, and I'd love for you to introduce yourself, your name, your hometown, grad year, and what are your current majors or minors?
Sounds good. Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for spending your Monday night with us. Once again, I'm Kara. I'm a current senior here. I'm a psychology and political science double major with a marketing minor, and I'm also a member of our liberal arts honors program.
Great, Ryan?
Hi, I'm Ryan. I'm from Hebron, Connecticut. I'm a sophomore here at PC. I'm a finance major with a philosophy minor.
Wonderful. And Ryan, I'm going to keep the spotlight on you. I'm loving that Ryan is a finance major and a philosophy minor. I think that is just an amazing combination, but that's not where you started, right? So can you walk the audience through before you started at PC, and where did you get to your 2 major and minors right now?
Yeah, so I came into PC as a finance major. I knew I always wanted to do finance. Last spring, I decided I was going to add management and become a double major. And then previously, like 2 months ago, I kind of decided, after talking to a lot of people, management and finance is a lot of overlap. So I kind of wanted to go in a different direction and add like a liberal arts minor, just to give me something different than a lot of people had. And the good thing about PC is just having that ability to have a business major with a liberal art minor. And that's what's so nice about being at a liberal arts school. And having Civ kind of was what opened my eyes to philosophy, and seeing like it kind of opened, there's a lot more out there. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. So yeah.
Great, thank you, Ryan. And Kara, how about you? What's your major story?
So I came into PC declared as a psychology major. I knew that's what I wanted to study. I was really interested in the topic. I loved my first semester of psych classes, but I was also put in the honors level intro to political science class that PC offers, and I loved it. It was very discussion based. The professor was fantastic. We dove into the material in a way that I hadn't previously been exposed to before, and I just loved it. I was toying with the idea of going to law school at the time, so I was like, okay, maybe adding a political science minor or double major would make the most sense for me. So I met with my current psychology advisor and then the chair of the political science department at the time, and kind of hashed out what would it be like for someone like me who was in the honors program and wanted to double major. Both psychology and political science are social science majors, so the majors are actually structured very similarly, which allowed for a lot of overlap. It allowed me to like kill 2 birds with 1 stone when it came to a lot of those major requirements. So I wasn't repeating classes that I didn't really need to, which made the double major so feasible that I could add a marketing minor the fall of my sophomore year, I believe. I thought it was really cool that at PC I could be a double major in the School of Arts and Sciences and have a minor in the business school. the marketing minor is actually specifically designed for non-business students. So I'm taking these business classes, but the professors know that I don't necessarily have the business background that some of the majors do. I haven't taken intro to accounting or data analytics or anything like that. So I don't never feel like I'm behind or anything like that in these business classes because the minor is specifically designed for non-business majors.
Wonderful. And I'm really glad that both of you have shared your story first. Thanks so much. But I think that this is very typical. So oftentimes when I'm speaking with prospective students, I know that there's someone hiding that's undeclared. And I always joke, and everyone in admissions laughs at me because I say that undeclared majors, I call it my major, is the favorite. And what I really truly believe is that it gives the student that is undeclared the freedom to really dabble. And you're going to do that regardless. So you heard Ryan's story where he came in with finance, then he added management, decided to drop that, and now philosophy. And then the same thing with Kara, adding along the way. So I promise you that even if you are really thinking that I'm going to come in and I'm going to major in finance, accounting, I'm going to look at any of the pre-med or pre-law, which Kara was, at some point you may decide that that might not be your path. And so that is why when we go back to that slide where we talk about the foundation, that's why the career lady is here and wants to be in front of you. It's we're helping you to build that foundation. And one of the ways that we do that is through having coaching appointments. I know Ryan and Kara, both of you have met with people in our office. Ryan, can you talk about when we think about maybe your career path, but maybe more about your major decision and having the conversation? Can you talk about that, how your meeting went with a coach?
Yeah, so I'm lucky enough to actually work in the Career Center. So I see Eileen a few times a week. She's walking by. So I've definitely had my fair share of meetings with career coaches, and just asking questions, having them look over my resume probably hundreds of times just to see different things to tweak, and then kind of asking them what their thoughts on it was. And just being able to ask them, oh, should I add the management major? Should I drop it? What's going to make it look a little bit better to interviewers and when I go into interviews and stuff like that. So that's kind of where I changed and went into the philosophy. I actually talked to Eileen about 2 months ago about philosophy, adding the minor, because I'm in my intro to philosophy class right now. And you have so much time to add and drop majors, which is so nice. Because there are core classes that are required here, but then I'm able to kind of take a philosophy class that's a little bit different. That's not a core, and it's been kind of cool so far.
Kara, you've had a path that I think with your major, you discovered everything as you went through some of your courses, but can you talk about your coaching appointments?
Yes, so I like to joke with Eileen that she kind of bullied me into coming to see her, but it was the best thing she ever did for me. It was junior year. I came back from studying abroad in the fall. I was doing stuff with admissions in the spring and talking about how I had plans to apply to law school and apply for a Fulbright scholarship to study abroad for a year and do all of the like apply for internships and stuff like that. And Eileen was like, well, why have you not come to see me? And I was like, I don't know. So I met with her and she was so helpful in helping me figure out how to craft a resume for all of these different things that I was applying for at once. It was so incredibly helpful just to even like talk out what I was planning on doing in the future and like spitball about what it's like to apply for different internships and how a law school resume or a cover letter would look different than if you're applying to study abroad for a year or applying for a summer internship. So I definitely waited, but I didn't wait long enough that I was a lost cause. Eileen was so helpful in getting me back on track and making sure that I had all the resources to apply for all of the things that I was looking to do.
I'm glad you said that because what I think, and we've talked about this too, is Kara didn't wait because your career development happens in your own timeline and her timing wasn't there yet. And when we did meet, we got her all situated. She already had her path kind of planned out ahead of her. My job was just to kind of come in and follow and be the consultant and help make sure that everything was all tied up and beautiful package. A couple of ways that we can in the department help students figure out their foundation and their majors. So we talked about coaching appointments. There is an online assessment called Focus 2, and that is where students can go online, they fill out this assessment, and then on the back end, it shows different PC majors that might be of interest. So when someone is looking at 30 plus majors, wondering which one they should pick for the rest of their lives, this might help to narrow it down for just a few, like maybe 4 or 5 majors. Then what we have is called the Fall Career Expo, and that is held in Peterson. We take over the field house. In the fall, we have one of the whole basketball courts that we set up, and we call it the Major Minor Fair. So if a student has done Focus 2, they've narrowed down their selections of majors, they can go into the Major Minor Fair and talk with them about adding something, maybe deleting, maybe changing, or maybe declaring for the first time. And Ryan, you do work in my office and you've worked at many expos. Do you want to just give a perspective about going to the Major Minor Fair and or being at the expo?
Yeah, so first the Major Minor Fair. Last fall I went to it. I thought about adding a minor in data science or computer science actually before doing management and then before philosophy. And I went and met with the person from there. And I kind of realized that it wasn't my thing. I wanted a more people-based type career, and I knew that maybe doing something else was gonna, so that kind of just helped me. And then in terms of the careers and the companies that come, a lot of them are as alumni from PC that come. And there was, I think there was over 80 companies that were there in the fall. And it was just so good just to going from freshman year, just going and talking to them was just such good practice. So my biggest piece of advice is just the earlier the better. It's never too late, but the earlier the better. And just the more repetitions and practice of talking to companies and employers. And they're so willing to reach out. They want PC students to work at their companies. I've reached out to numerous just for informational talks after talking to them at the Career Expo, and they're just more than willing to help, which is so great.
Another program that we have, and thank you so much, Ryan, and another program that we are actually fully launching this year, which I do think it makes us very different from my colleagues at other schools, is we will have an incoming first year career coaching program. So once students come to the first days in Friartown to be able to pick their classes and they go through the spring orientation, we will open it up so the students that have declared will be able to have coaching appointments with my team over the summer so that it gives you kind of the head start. We also, as I mentioned before, if you're a student in the School of Business, we work on the Microsoft Excel certification. So we will be doing those sessions as well. And I think that that is really going to be super helpful. And Ryan, I think, is a perfect example of a student who really didn't wait because he got on our radar. I think before you even came to school, one of the things that we do is we offer up a resume workshop for students that are interested in applying for campus jobs. Ryan, what made you say yes to the resume workshop?
The big email headline that said, if you want a job on campus, come to this workshop. And it was just kind of get your resume reviewed. I know it hadn't been touched since junior year of high school. And it was actually Tess and Sean who work in the Career Center. And they were so helpful. And it was so interactive, going on that Zoom in the summer and then applying for the jobs come in the fall. Because your resume is something that you can always be worked on. So that was good. And then the Excel certification, doing that over the summer was one of the best things that I had done. Many students regret not doing it when they come in the fall, and then you go into your DAB class, which is your finance kind of 101 class. And it's very nice doing it over the summer on Zoom and being able to get that Excel certification down because most employers, if you don't have that, then it's kind of a big requirement.
Yeah, being a senior, your CV is actually incredibly full. But can you talk a little bit about the extracurricular things that you have done to help, one, to be fun, but two, to help build your portfolio as you were looking and applying to law school?
Yeah, so I decided pretty early on in college that I wanted to go to law school. I've always had a passion for disability advocacy, and so I'm interested in becoming a special education lawyer. So I got involved early on in fun things and career building activities that were related to that field. I have been a member of our student congress since my freshman year. That's like our student council. I specialize in disability advocacy projects for students on campus. I have been on the executive board of our Special Olympics chapter since my freshman year, which has been a really great experience to get to interact with the community in that way. But I've also had multiple law-related internships over the summer. I worked for a judge back home. I'm from New Jersey, so I've been spending my summers at home working for a judge, and then I worked for a special education lawyer a little bit last summer to get a feel for that field specifically. But it's so easy to get involved in stuff at PC that is either related to whatever you're interested in doing in the future or your major, or just stuff that you want to get involved in for fun to break up some of the academic piece of college. It's literally impossible to be bored here. There's always stuff to do, and you'll always find people that are involved in a million things.
Mentioned her internships, and the other thing that, just due to the nature of her majors, is that she also has done a lot of research. And oftentimes and this is why we phrase that question that I mentioned back in the beginning about career appropriate experiences, because oftentimes students that are majoring in either of the majors that Kara is majoring in, they may find that all they have for experience is working with faculty and doing research. And Kara is one that just can't let one thing be enough, and she has done all of it. So I do want to just point that out, and that's where our team is there to assist too. Brian, what have you done extracurricular wise to help increase your marketability?
Yeah, so last year, I decided I wanted to become an orientation leader. Kara is also actually was an orientation leader, so she's also involved in that. And that was such a cool experience for me. I knew kind of going into it, my whole thought process was I just wanted to meet more people and kind of develop leadership skills. It ended up being a lot more than that. It was actually like one of the best experiences I had ever done. So cool. Like the first week meeting so many new students from PC, I didn't know anyone going into it. And then just kind of getting to learn like all the freshmen and just kind of bring them around campus and kind of create a better experience for all of them. So that was great. And I'm actually doing it this coming fall as well. I'm also involved in the finance society. There's a ton of clubs in terms of business school. There's a ton on campus. I'm also a scout player on the women's D1 basketball team, which is actually a ton of fun and how I met some of my best friends. So my biggest piece of advice is just to try everything. There's so much on campus here. There's so much to do all the time. So
Now to go to the exciting news. So Ryan, I'll start with you. What's your summer plans?
so I'm going to be interning at Pratt and Whitney on their finance and accounting team for one of their aircraft accounting specializations teams. So I'm really excited for that. I actually was able to get it through the Career Center. I had applied to a bunch of internships, but all these companies have thousands of applicants. And just trying to be able to narrow down their applicants, they look at. I was able to reach out to alumni from PC through the Career Center. Laura, who works in the Career Center, I was just talking to her, just making conversation. And I was like, yeah, I applied to a few companies. She was able to set me up with an alumni from PC. I had just a quick informational call with him. And he kind of told me about the company and kind of how to go about the recruitment process and kind of how to put my name a little bit farther out there. My second interview with the company happened to be an alumni from PC. The first 20 minutes were some technical questions, but the last 10 minutes happened to be about PC basketball. So just kind of having that kind of gave me a little bit of a leg up in the whole process. So I'm really excited for that. But there's just so many opportunities in terms of that. Like I got to go to the Red Sox last year and do a shadow a PC alumni. So just I'm trying to figure out what I want to do, but also figuring out what I don't want to do has been a big thing because there's so much.
What's the next step for you?
So I am going to law school in the fall. I'm going to William and Mary in Virginia, which I'm so excited about. They have a great program for special education law, so I get to go. I'm absolutely devastated that I have to leave this place in 3 weeks. I actually don't want to think about it, but I'm really excited for what's to come, and I literally owe it all to Eileen and the Career Center for being able to organize my resume when I was freaking out about applying to law school. Like, I did it, and it's because of Eileen. So
Times when I'm presenting, I like to tell the audience that I'm so fortunate to be in the position that I'm in because although we're the smallest Biggie school, we are big and strong and we can compete with everybody else as far as all of the resources. You saw the size of my team, um, the trustees, the administration, they really believe in the work that we do, and they've been able to provide us with the opportunity to be competitive with the other career centers that we, I'll loosely say, compete with. The piece that is different though at PC is we do have everything that we could use, all the resources, but what we have is that we're small. And I know Kara, and I knew enough to say, and as she says, I bullied her. I knew enough to be able to bully her and convince her to come in and come and talk with me. Ryan and I talk with each other every day. Those kinds of conversations just happen naturally. Both to Kara and Ryan, when you think about your experience at PC, what about the small school feel broadly has really kind of been a moment for you? I'll go
I
with you.
mean, I feel like there's a million reasons to choose PC, but I always say it's the people that'll make you stay. I went to public high school, but I had really great relationships with my teachers in high school. I knew that I wanted to come somewhere where I could have those relationships with my faculty members, and I've definitely found that to be the case. The friends that I've made here have been friends that I've made through the clubs that I'm involved in, or just like meeting them out and about on campus at random campus events. Like, the community is so strong and so close knit. Even like the alumni network, like Ryan is getting jobs that way. Like, that community and the people that are part of the community is unlike anything I've ever experienced before. Like, I felt it the second I got to campus, the spring of my senior year of high school when I toured, and now I'm a senior in college leaving here in 3 weeks, and that is still as strong as it was when I toured 4 years ago. Like, it is just the most unique thing in the world, and I'm so grateful that I've gotten to be a part of that for the past 4 years.
Yeah, I agree. The community here is one like no other, in my opinion. Prime example, which kind of makes me think of it. I was back home with my parents over Christmas break, and I happened to have a Providence sweatshirt on, and I'm in a restaurant, and I hear a "Go Friar" chant from all the way across, and that's what kind of just made me love the school. I mean, you can literally talk to anyone. They're just so willing to talk. I don't, I just that was what kind of just made me fall in love with PC. Um, Walking around, everyone is so friendly. The professor aspect, I have my stats professor is just a small class size, but my roommate had him last semester, and he's reaching out via text that he had an interview in the city. He gave him a briefcase to bring, which that was just like a prime example of them going out of their way for their students. Um, and most of the professors that I have, they have so much work experience prior, and they're doing this just out of like the kindness of their heart, and they want to do it. And they're just so here for the students. Having 15 to 20 kids in your class, you can go to their office hours. They're there to talk, um, and they're there to help you. They know so many people. They've worked in the like the financial services for me, and like just having that opportunity is so great.
When you think about your time in their shoes, what biggest piece of advice would you give yourself today before you came to campus, Kara?
Oh, I've been doing a lot of reflecting the past couple weeks because it's been very bittersweet. But I think just to enjoy every moment. It sounds so cliche, but I think that sometimes, like, especially your freshman year, like, you just get so caught up in like everything that you feel like you should be doing. Like, you think you should be taking these classes or getting involved in these clubs or doing research with these faculty members or looking for these internships. Like, just slow down and take it all in. Like, all of the things that are meant to come your way will come your way when they're supposed to. But just taking advantage of everything that PC does have to offer and not trying to do it all at once. I think I was a little overambitious at the beginning, which was great. It's worked out for me in the long run, but I think to just go back and savor some of those moments would be my biggest piece of advice. Even like the college process, it's long and it's stressful, but you'll end up exactly where you're supposed to be, whether it's PC or somewhere else. So just to enjoy all of the time that you have because it really does fly.
Yeah, I agree. I felt like yesterday I was in your guys' shoes, choosing a college, having to put that deposit down, and then I'm here right now. It has gone by so fast. So my biggest piece of advice is just kind of be open to everything and talk to everyone, take every opportunity, um, and be open to changing. Like college is a time where you kind of find what you want to do, and everything is kind of an opportunity. Is kind of how I've gone about it. But just like today is kind of a prime example. Everyone is outside. It's so nice out. And that's today is a big PC community, I feel like, when you look outside.
Great. And Kelly, I'm going to pause for a minute and see if there are any questions from the audience.
Of course. So one question that was submitted, Eileen mentioned that an incoming student will pick their classes during their first day in Friartown in June. I have 2 dates available for my major. If I attend the earlier date, will I have more options for classes in the fall, both in terms of schedule and classes that would be available?
And Kelly, I'm going to defer to you, but I do think that the classes are already scheduled. Ryan, you probably recall that I think when you come in, they have a schedule that we pick for you, depending upon your major, and clearly that is flexible. But I think you do come in, and we've already given you classes that you can attend to in the fall.
Yeah, so when you come in, you'll have orientation leaders that kind of will help you. You'll go into like the PC mobile on your phone. I remember this from 2 years ago. They'll show you your schedule, and it's kind of already pre-registered just because they wanted to ensure that there was enough seats in every class for all the incoming students, which makes it great. It's so much less stressful in that sense when I already had my schedule picked out for me. It was so much easier.
And I know too, if you're sitting here and you want another major, this is a time to talk to your advisor when you come to these meetings of like, hey, I'm a marketing major, but I'm really interested in history as well. Just a heads up, I'm gonna want a minor or double major in history or pick up psychology, and they'll be aware of that as you move forward and kind of give you the best tips for afterwards in that meeting. Any other questions families have regarding to this or admissions? I work in the admissions office, so I'm happy to answer those questions as well for you. While we're waiting for any questions to come in, one program that I think is really cool is our PC in Hollywood program. Um, and just other options of shadowing days and things like that. Do you want to talk a little bit about what that is like for people who are from the East Coast? A lot of us on this webinar are maybe East Coast folks, and we have a vision of wanting to go to Hollywood one day. Kind of what's that experience like in January for students?
That graph of the 4 steps. So explore is the next step, and that's something that we really want to make sure that students have the ability to do, because regardless of your major, you're a liberal arts student at heart, and that's really also, I think, what makes PC students and alumni more marketable and different. We have a couple of programs. So the first is PC in Hollywood. We also have PC in DC. PC in Hollywood happens in January. It is designed initially for theater, dance, and film majors, but we also open it up to students that are interested in those careers. So we send them out. They spend 3 or 4 days out in LA and they meet with alumni out there. They went to the Kelly Clarkson show before. They get to attend some shows like that. And it's really more an in-depth immersion into the world out in LA. In DC, they do the same thing. Both government and governmental agencies, nonprofit organizations, they will be down there for 2 or 3 days, I think at the end of May or early June. And then we have other experiential opportunities. Ryan, do you want to talk about the Big East networking event that you went to?
Yeah, so freshman year, fall, I was able to sign up for this Big East Summit. It was a virtual program where all Big East, all 11 schools come and usually bring, I think, 3 to 4 alumni, I think it was on the Zoom, all from sports, people that worked in sports, whether it was sports teams or the NBA, the NHL, Madison Square Garden, TD Garden, the Red Sox. Got to listen to them speak, ask questions. That was very cool. But then in March, I was able to go to the Big East tournament. It was the Thursday night, so the second session of Thursday, and there was a networking event beforehand for the games. And I think there was about 25 alumni from all the Big East schools in there, everyone dressed up. It was a really cool opportunity to kind of go in there, kind of see what it was like to work in sports, as well as connect with other students from the Big East, which was actually really cool to do that.
Awesome. So I've had some questions that come in. One question was asking about AP classes that you take. Do they count for a PC class? How do we figure that out? If you receive a score of 4 or 5 on an AP class, we do take those, and they can be awarded credit for certain classes. So I will include the link into the chat for people to look at to kind of see what classes you would have taken. That would have transferred over for you, and then talking again about with your advisor about it. Another question that came in is, how is your advisor chosen? What are Ryan and Kara's experience with their mentors?
So my advisor, I took a intro to business class that was an optional 1 credit course when I came in. And my advisor has been great. I actually just had a meeting with her last week. Not even about my scheduling or anything, just to kind of talk to her about internships. Since 2026 for finance, internships are already starting to end. It's crazy how fast it goes, but I haven't completed my first internship and I'm looking for the following year. She messages me on LinkedIn with jobs to apply for, like goes out of her way to reach out to students, which has been really great. And she only has a certain number of students, so she's not overwhelmed with so many students or so many advisors, which I think is what kind of is great, because I know sometimes at the bigger schools, they're dealing with thousands of students.
Yeah, I've had similar experiences for each of my majors. I have an advisor who is in that department. So I have a psychology advisor and a political science advisor. I meet with both of them at least once a semester. But I came in first semester freshman year, declared as a psych major, met with my advisor, and I was like, hey, I want to double major at some point. I'm going to study abroad in London at some point. I want to do this. Like, I want to apply to law school. And she was like, whoa, okay. And it was great. She, like, every semester we would meet and she would help me figure out what classes I wanted to take or how I could like reduce the amount of classes that I was taking by maybe taking a psych class that also counted for one of my cores, or how a political science class would overlap with a psychology class. And my political science advisor has been the same way, especially when it came to applying to law school and stuff like that. He was so helpful, so interested in hearing about that process, and like always reaching out to see if I needed anything. So your advisors, they are there for you. They get to know you. They want to help you. Like, you're not just a number. You're not just another student that they have to meet with. Like, they're so eager and willing to help you and make sure that you get the most out of your 4 years, which I've really appreciated.
And if you're coming in undecided, you have an undeclared advisor. So it's the middle sophomore year where you formally declare your major. So once you have that declared major, and if it's not the same program as your undeclared advisor, that is when you'll have an advisor from that program of study. Any other questions before we wrap this up? Oh, have another question. All right, Kara, it's a little off topic, but can you share a bit more about your experience of studying abroad in London?
Always. I could talk about abroad for the next hour if you wanted me to. I feel like I knew that I wanted to study abroad in London. I knew that I was going to study abroad in college. That was a non-negotiable for me. But I also wanted to go to a school where other kids studied abroad too. Like, I didn't want to go to college and make all these friends and then leave them behind for a semester while I had all these life-changing experiences alone. So I think it's great that at PC you have like 60% of students studying abroad. The most common time to study abroad is for a semester during your junior year. We have Maymester programs and shorter programs if you weren't interested in leaving PC behind for a whole semester, which is totally understandable. But about half of my friends were abroad the same semester as me. My roommate and I were in London together, and I feel like I kind of got the best of both worlds with my program, because I went abroad like through a third party program with all American students. I was getting taught by British professors in the heart of London, but with American students from all over the country. But I was directly enrolled at a British university, taking one of my classes there once a week. So I took American foreign policy at a British university, taught by a British Indian professor, and it was like the most life-changing experience ever. It completely changed my outlook on the US and the world and like foreign relations and all of those things. And it was just wonderful to be able to have these experiences with my friends who were abroad too. Every weekend we were traveling and going to visit somebody in another country. So we had a free place to stay and a built-in tour guide in every place that we visited. And then everyone who was abroad from PC that semester met up in Munich for Oktoberfest the same weekend, which was awesome. Like we were all just waving PC flags around and it was just the best day ever. And then all of my friends who didn't go abroad came to London to visit me and my roommate over Thanksgiving break, so they got to have their week abroad too. And it was just awesome. I encourage all of you to study abroad. If you go abroad as a business major, you have to get an internship while you're over there, which is awesome because not many students can say coming out of undergrad that they have international business experience, but you can if you come here. So the possibilities are literally endless. Even if you're not a business major, you can get an internship while you're over there. I didn't choose to do that just because I had a bunch of classes that sounded really interesting to me, that I could choose from to take. But it literally is the most magical 4 months of your life, and you should all go. That's my plug.
Next year.
Great. Thank you. Thank you for answering that. Any more questions before I send off our panelists? Okay. No more questions have come in. So thank you all so much for joining us. We hope we're able to answer more of your questions regarding Providence College and the success of our students while they're here and once they graduate. If you think of any questions in the next few days, please feel free to reach out to any of us in the admissions office. We're happy to answer your questions. So thank you, Eileen, Kara, and Ryan. You were wonderful, as always. We all learned so much. And have a great evening. Bye, everyone. Thank you.